welcome back to botany class. Last video we started the new chapter, molecular basis of inheritance. In that we discussed the structure of nucleotide. Nucleotides are nothing but it's a basic unit of DNA and RNA molecule, right? So the type of nucleotide found in DNA, you can call it as deoxyribonucleotide. The type of nucleotide found in RNA, you can say it ribonucleotide. But both molecules contain four types of nucleotide. In DNA, adenine, guanine, cytosine and thymine nucleides are present. But in case of RNA, instead of thymine, RNA molecule contain uracil. So it's a uridine nucleotide, right? So in this video, we are going to discuss the structure of DNA molecule, right? And we got to derive the structure, chemical structure of polynucleotide chain. There are two lines of investigation helped us to derive the structure of DNA molecule. There are two lines of investigation helped in derivation of DNA structure. So the first one is X-ray crystallographic studies. So X-ray crystallographic study. X-ray crystallographic study. And the second one is, second line of investigation is, so the experiment did that by Erwin Chargaff. That is, you can call it as Chargaff rules. Chargaff rules. Chargaff rules. And who did this X-ray crystallography study? Now, the scientist name is called Maurice Wilkins. Wilkins. So another scientist, Maurice Wilkins. Another scientist, Rosalind Franklin. So these two scientists, Maurice Wilkins and Rosalind Franklin, they obtained very fine crystallographic structure of the DNA present in nucleus. They got that picture and they suggested that so the DNA molecule, actually from that they got the fine structure of the DNA molecule. But they are unable to find out unable to predict the exact structure of DNA using that crystallographic picture. But they found that so the diameter of DNA molecule is 20 angstrom or 2 nanometer. It's a constant for all the organism. Whatever organism, the diameter of DNA is, the width of DNA is either it's a 20 angstrom or 2 nanometer. It's a constant for all organisms starting from prokaryote to eukaryote and from microorganism to up to human. That is a size. Based on crystallography, they found the diameter of DNA molecule is 20 angstrom or 2 nanometer. And next one is Erwin Chargaff rule. Chargaff rule, who performed this Chargaff rule? The scientist is Erwin Chargaff. The scientist name is called Erwin Chargaff, and along with their colleagues, he did base composition analysis. Did analysis of base composition of DNA molecule by using quantitative chromatographic method. And based on his analysis, he proposed some important generalization about structure of DNA. So actually, he is taking DNA molecule, he analyzing what are the bases are there and how they are present. So based on his base composition analysis, he proposed some important generalization about structure of DNA. So this generalization together, you can call it as Erwin Chargaff rule, or simple term we are saying the Chargaff rule. But he analyzed only double stranded DNA, not single stranded DNA, so that the Chargaff rule is applicable only for double stranded DNA. And what is given in that one Chargaff rule? So Chargaff rule state that double stranded DNA, first very important rule this one is the number of purine bases always equal to number of pyrimidine bases. So the number of purine bases, purine nucleotide always equal to number of pyrimidine bases. So these both bases, purine and pyrimidine, occur in equal amount. That is the first principles or rules given in Chargaff rule, right? And the type of purine found in DNA is in purine. So what are the purines are found in DNA? So adenine and guanine, and pyrimidines are cytosine and thymine. So this is given in Chargaff rule. The purine found in DNA molecules are adenine and guanine, and pyrimidine found in DNA molecules are thymine and cytosine. So that you can see here the number of adenine and number of guanine is equal to number of cytosine plus number of thymine, because these are purine, these are pyrimidine, because in double stranded, so the purine nucleotide and pyrimidine nucleotides both are present in equal amount, right? And the base ratio, like you see the very important one, so adenine plus guanine divided by cytosine plus thymine, it's always equal to 1. It's a constant for all the species. It's a constant for all species, all living organisms. If they are having double stranded DNA as a genetic material, the base ratio adenine plus guanine and cytosine plus thymine always it's equal. Okay, it's equal. So it's equal to 1. The value definitely it gives 1. And next base ratio, I will rub this. I will write here. So next one is the fourth important rule is very important one. So adenine plus thymine base ratio and guanine plus cytosine. So the value is specific for given organism. Specific for given organism. For example, for given species, that values may be vary within this with species. So because the base ratio value is for, if you take human they are having different base ratio, like adenine plus thymine plus guanine plus cytosine. But other organisms that value may be different. So specific for species. But with the help of this, that range, this base ratio ranges, the value range, what range you will get now? 0.4 to 1.9. The base ratio, the range from 0.4 to 1.9. This ratio, based on this ratio, it is used to identify the species, whether it is eukaryota or prokaryota, like that. For example, you take for E. coli organism is the E. coli. So in E. coli, the adenine plus thymine divided by guanine plus cytosine, the value for E. coli is 0.92. So 0.92. Similarly, the human, for our human being, for us, the base ratio adenine plus thymine divided by guanine plus cytosine is 1.52. 1.52. Okay, the range whatever may be for any organism. For given organism, that value is specific, individual species. That the value may vary from species to species, but range falling between 0.4 to 1.9. With the help of this, you can identify the species, whether it's prokaryota or eukaryota. Prokaryota, the value will come less than 1.0. Less than 1.0. So eukaryota mostly greater than 1.0. The value is greater than 1.0. So for example, E. coli given here. E. coli value is, the base ratio is 0.92 and a human being is, it's a 1.2. This is a very important rule given in Chargaff, right? And next is the number of sugar and phosphate also occur in equal number for given double stranded DNA, right? Equal number. And also he told that, so in double stranded DNA, adenine always base pair with thymine and guanine always base pair with cytosine. So there are two hydrogen bond between adenine and thymine, and there are three hydrogen bond between guanine and cytosine. So double stranded DNA, so the number of adenine is equal to number of thymine and number of guanine is equal to number of cytosine. Double stranded, adenine always base pair with thymine, guanine always base pair with cytosine. There are two hydrogen bond between adenine and thymine nucleotide, and there are three hydrogen bond between guanine and cytosine, right? So this is you see, I will recall the Chargaff rule. It's given by Erwin Chargaff. So Erwin Chargaff, he did base composition analysis of double stranded DNA. Based on his analysis, he proposed some important generalization about DNA structure. The generalization together you can call it as Chargaff rules. Chargaff rule. Chargaff rule state that Chargaff rule is applicable only for double stranded DNA, not applicable for single stranded DNA and also RNA. But Chargaff rule state that first rule is the number of purine equal to number of pyrimidine, because in double stranded DNA, so the number of purine and purine nucleotide occur in equal amount. Next, the type of purine. So the type of purine found in DNA is adenine, guanine, and pyrimidines are cytosine plus thymine. So you see, adenine plus guanine equal to cytosine plus thymine. And the base ratio, adenine plus guanine divided by cytosine plus thymine is equal to 1. It's a constant for all species, all living organisms. And the base ratio, adenine plus thymine divided by guanine plus cytosine is specific for given species. So they are specific for given species and vary with species. But the range of this base ratios fall between 0.4 to 1.9. And this, based on this, you can identify the DNA belongs to which organism, whether prokaryotica or eukaryotica. Prokaryote, the value will be less than 1.0 and eukaryote is greater than 1.0. For this example, you see, E. coli the base ratio is 0.92 and human is 1.52. Next one is the number of sugar and phosphate. Number of sugar, deoxyribose sugar and phosphate residue occur in equal manner. And in double stranded DNA, adenine always base pair with thymine and guanine always base pair with cytosine. And the amount of adenine is equal to thymine, guanine is equal to cytosine. And there are two hydrogen bonds between adenine and thymine, three hydrogen bonds between guanine and cytosine, right? So next we will see the DNA double helix structure proposed by James Watson and Francis Crick. So based on the X-ray crystallographic study and Erwin Chargaff rule, James Watson and Francis Crick. James Watson and Francis Crick. Francis Crick. They proposed one model. It's not a real structure. They proposed one model to explain the structure of DNA. To explain the structure of DNA. So explain the structure of DNA. So that proposed model name is called, you can call it as DNA double helix. So double helix. So DNA double helix, okay. Based on the X-ray crystallography studies and Erwin Chargaff rule, James Watson and Francis Crick, they proposed a model to explain the structure of DNA molecule. That model name is called, very famous model. It's a DNA double helix. It is accepted by all these biologists. Nowadays, the structure what we are studying is DNA double helix proposed by James Watson and Francis Crick, right? And one of the hallmark of their proposition was is base pairing between two strands of polynucleotide chain. So the silent feature of the double helix proposed by James Watson and Francis Crick is, like you see, the double helix. And before that, we will see how the single-stranded DNA will look. Okay, you see, single-stranded DNA. So this is single-stranded. Here nucleotides are there: adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine, cytosine. Like repeatedly, the different nucleotides are present. Okay. So this one nucleotide joined with another nucleotide by phosphodiester bond. Phosphodiester bond. The bond will join one nucleotide with another nucleotide in DNA molecule is phosphodiester bond. This phosphodiester bond formation is the fifth carbon of one nucleotide to the third carbon of another nucleotide. This is a bond formation. Here there are two phosphoester bonds will be there. That's why we are saying the phosphodiester bond. And single-stranded DNA molecule has two ends. One end you can say 5' end, another one you can say 3' end. 5' end always contain free phosphate group. 3' end one always contain free OH group. Like this, many nucleotides are joined. We are getting one polynucleotide chain. This polynucleotide chain you can call it as single-stranded DNA. Single-stranded DNA or RNA. So in single-stranded DNA, the nucleotide is joined by phosphodiester bond. The bond is between fifth carbon of one nucleotide to the third carbon of another nucleotide. So all DNA, the single-stranded DNA molecule has two ends. One is a 3', another one 5' end. 3' end always contain free hydroxyl group. 5' always contain free phosphate group, right? And next we will see the double-stranded DNA structure. The double-stranded DNA structure proposed by James Watson and Francis Crick. So what is the name of structure proposed James Watson, Francis Crick? It's a DNA duplex, right? DNA duplex. It's a helically coiled structure, right? Helically coiled structure, right? So here one base is there, adenine. Here thymine is there. Guanine, cytosine. And thymine, adenine. Cytosine, guanine. So we will see the silent feature of DNA double helix, the structure proposed by James Watson and Francis Crick. As per this model, the DNA molecule consists of two polynucleotide chain. Two polynucleotide chains. Two polynucleotide chains. And the backbone is constituted by, here which one form backbone? The sugar and phosphate present in nucleotide. Sugar and phosphate they form backbone. And nitrogen bases are projected outwards. Sorry, not outwards. Projected innerwards. They are projected innerwards. Like you see here, if you take this DNA double helix, how it look now? For example, I am putting here. See here one helix is there. So adenine base is there. So adenine base in this DNA. And in between what? So adenine base is projected innerwards here. Here sugar, phosphate, again sugar, and here one base, guanine. Again phosphate, again sugar, and thymine. Here also like that. Here thymine, sugar, phosphate, again sugar, here cytosine, again phosphate. So like this they will project, right? I will put it clearly here. Sugar, phosphate, sugar, phosphate. But in this sugar, one adenine base is there. In this sugar, guanine base is there. And here thymine is present. Sugar, sugar, phosphate. Here cytosine. So like this, here the sugar phosphate form backbone. The nitrogen bases are present are projected towards inside to facilitate the hydrogen bonding. The nitrogen bases are projected inwards in this particular chain. But double stranded DNA, the two strands are run in anti-parallel fashion. Okay, for example, here one strand is there. The direction of this strand is 3' to 5' means another strand direction is 5' to 3'. So 5' to 3'. So double stranded, the two strands are run in anti-parallel fashion. One is running in 3' to 5', another one run 5' to 3' polarity. So the bases in two strands parent, how the two strands are held together now. The bases in these two strands are held together by hydrogen bonding, or the hydrogen bonds forming the base pair between the two strands. So adenine base pair with thymine and guanine base pair with cytosine. There are two hydrogen bonds between adenine and thymine. There are three hydrogen bonds between guanine and cytosine. So there are three bonds are present, right? The double-stranded chain of DNA helically twisted, but somewhat helically. It's not coiled. It's not one upon other, but they are twisted separately. But the type of helically twisted, the type of twist is here. Can we say the right-handed fashion? They are twisted. So the type of helix is here right-handed helix. And we will see some important geometrical information about double-stranded DNA. So in a double helix of DNA, we will see some geometrical information about this double-stranded DNA, right? The type of helix is, here the type of helix is, the helix fashion is, it's a right-handed helix. Right-handed, because the helix, it's a coil, the coiled helically in clockwise direction. That's why we are saying that right-handed helix, And in both strands, in a double-stranded DNA, both strands are held together by hydrogen bonds. Hydrogen bonds only holding together. And there are two hydrogen bonds between adenine and guanine. So adenine and thymine. There are three hydrogen bonds between guanine and cytosine. There are three hydrogen bonds between guanine and cytosine. And the DNA molecule has two types of growths. So one is major grow. So major grow. Another one is minor grow. This one is minor grow. Minor grow. And one turn of helix. Actually, the one complete turn. So one length of the length of one complete turn is, you can say, one length of one complete helical turn is 34 Armstrong, or you can say 3.4 nanometer. So one helical turn is from starting from here to up to here. This is a one turn or one helix. Helix the size of helix is 34 Armstrong or 3.4 nanometer. And the number of bases are number of base pairs present in one turn. One helix is how many base pairs present? 10 base pairs are present. Within this, you can find there are 10 base pairs are present. And the distance between adjacent bases are adjacent base pair is, and you see 10 base pair, the size is 34 Armstrong or 3.4 nanometer. And the distance between adjacent base pair is, how much we will get? Divide by 34, we will get 3.4 Armstrong or 3.4 Armstrong, or how we can say 3.5 Armstrong, or in the nanometer wise how we will say 0.34 nanometer, right? And the diameter of helix is, it's a constant for all organisms. So the constant for all is a 20 Armstrong, or you can say 2 nanometer. The diameter is this one. So this one is a diameter. Diameter is 20 Armstrong, right? Or 2 nanometer. Diameter is 20 Armstrong or 2 nanometer. And so the angle of one turn or one helix is, for completing one angle, like it look like star gas. So angle of one helix or one turn is 360 degree. 360 degree. So they complete 360 degree. And the angle of one base pair is 36 degree. In that the minor grow, I told here major grow no. So major grow is 240 degree, and major grow is 240, minor grow is 120 degree. For the angle of one complete turn or one helix is 360, and angle between successive base pair, that is a 360 degree. And in one base pair, the maximum number of hydrogen bonds, how many is there now? Maximum number is 30 hydrogen bonds are present. And the minimum number of hydrogen bonds are 20 hydrogen bonds are present in one turn. We are talking about only one turn or one helix of the DNA. So the number of, okay, see here the important feature here, in a double stranded DNA, so both strands are held together by hydrogen bonding. Double stranded DNA, adenine always base pair with thymine, but guanine always base pair with cytosine. But in two strands, they run in anti-parallel fashion. One is running in 3' to 5', another one run to 5' to 3', right? We'll see some geometrical information about this double-stranded DNA. So the DNA molecule has two growths. One is a major growth. This part is major and this part is minor growth. The angle of major growth is 240 degree, and the minor growth angle is 120. So 120 degree here. And next we can see the length of one turn of helix from starting field, both minor and major. This consists one helix or one turn. The helix 34 Armstrong or 3.4 nanometer. But number of base present in one turn or one helix is 10 base pair. The distance between adjacent base pair in one helix is 3.4 Armstrong or 0.34 nanometer. A diameter of helix is one diameter of the width, you can say 20 Armstrong or 2 nanometer. The angle of one turn is 360 because it look like star hash. They complete the one turn like this, they will complete. An angle of one base pairs in a successive angle between successive base pair is 36. The maximum number of hydrogen bond present in one turn is 30 hydrogen bond. The minimum number of hydrogen bonds are totally 20 hydrogen bonds are present, right? So these are the geometrical information about the double stranded DNA, right? So next we will see the types of DNA. So types of DNA. So depends on number of base pair present in per turn and the type of helix. So that the DNA is classified into 4 basic types, like Like A is there, A type DNA is there, B type and C type, and also D type also there, and Z type. These are famous because these are a different model proposed by different scientists. For type of DNA, A type, and a number of base pair. In each helix, how many A type na how many helix are present na? So 11 base pairs are present per helix. B type na 10 base pair. And C type is so 9.33 are present, and Z type is 12 base pairs are present. Number of base pair are 10. And so the helix pattern is, the rotation pattern is, here if you take rotation, these are right-handed, this one also right-handed, this one also right-handed, but Z form is left-handed DNA. Z form is left-handed DNA, right? But among this, because different scientists they proposed, and the James Watson and Francis Crick, the proposed DNA is B-type DNA. This B-type DNA only proposed by James Watson and Francis Crick. And the most common and the most accepted type of DNA is B-type of DNA. B-type of DNA. So it is proposed by James Watson and Francis Crick, right? So up to this, we will end up this video. The next video will continue further. Thank you.